Well, hello everyone, Philosopher Stoner. So, I'm going to make this video on Trump. I'm going to talk about Donald Trump, what my opinions of him are, because I've gone into it in a couple of my videos where I just sort of make comments about him. My last video, I made a joke about him, and I got some responses in the comments uh, from just another YouTuber 3, and what he's saying was right in this comment that who cares if he's funny? Look at all the people that are suffering because of him, and yeah, it's true. So I'm just gonna sort of rehash what I've already talked about and then go into it into a little bit more depth. So I've said before that people are basically betas looking for an alpha to follow, and you find it all over the place. People looking for a free lunch somehow, right? They want someone else to solve their problems. So they want Jesus. They want Jesus to solve all their problems, right? So they get involved with that. And then there's other people that you know, they need the aliens to come and save them. So they believe in aliens because to save our sorry asses. If not, then they want, society, or they want the Communist Party to save them, or the Nazi Party to save them, or they want somebody else to do it instead of doing it themselves. But then part of it is what Noam Chomsky's gone into, where basically all of these institutions that are democratic over the last 40, 50 years, that the stuff that was built up from the Depression era people, the greatest generation, the people that went through the Depression in the late 1920s and 1930s in America, the greatest generation. They built up through the Roosevelt administration, other administrations during that era. They built up our sort of semi-capitalist welfare state that sort of kept things in control, and they also prevented a third world war. They put their foot down. They allowed unions. They allowed people to but all based on people doing productive work. People that do productive work should have the right to have some kind of a voice and contribute and participate. He wasn't, although they accused, Roosevelt of being like a communist or a socialist or something. No, like he's like the Teddy Roosevelt, doing stuff like building a Panama Canal, doing stuff like building the Hoover Dam, doing productive stuff with the government and stuff, stuff that benefits everybody, that kind of thing. And that's all been eroded. And no matter who you vote for, this is how the deep state conspiracy started, that the right wingers go into, that I happen to partially agree with, is that over this last 40, 50 years, it doesn't seem to matter who you vote for. An agenda keeps moving forward. And there's this sort of semi-permanent government of people that are appointed to certain positions, that they serve a lifetime appointment and you can't get rid of them. It's presidents that appoint them, like judges, and there's a lot of others in the mechanism of government. And even certain judges have more power than the president. Judges can overturn a president's decision. So there's this political class, but then this political class behind the political class that's doing stuff. Definitely. And I've gone into other videos of who I believe runs the world, right? I identified the top level, the Vatican and the Zionists, and then the Satanists. But then I mentioned other factions as well, big tech, other ones. So yes, it's this unholy alliance of what the anarchists called Mikhail Bakunin, and as well as the Russian nihilists. They talked about it, and these would be the philosophical grandfathers of Ayn Rand. Some people think Ayn Rand was an anarchist, but she despised communism and she despised anarchism, and she wrote a whole essay of why she thought the whole concept of anarchy was collectivist and stupid and everything. So she wasn't an anarchist, but yes, the tradition that she comes out of was this tradition. She was from Russia. She was Jewish. She came out of that, the Russian nihilists, and there's a guy, Sergei Natchichev. You can look him up in a really obscure text. Anyways, that's a whole separate subject. But anyway, so yeah, the state thing is the three levels of the state are, of course, at the top, what they call the capitalists, but then really it's the government, but it's also religion, and then it's also especially these private corporations, these private tyrannies, where they preach a fake neoliberal, fake liberal ideology of progressivism and more communication and all that, and taxes on the rich and the powerful, but then they're all offshore and exempt, right? And so there's no one you can turn to. Like the people, like I am, like I said, I'm probably a more liberal person, a classical liberal. But then that's why I've said like dozens of times that I don't like using the lexicon that exists, the jargon, because we get lost in a lot of labels that we try to pigeonhole people, and the definitions are elastic. They're arbitrary. They change over the course of history. Like classical liberal today means something way different than it meant, say, 200 years ago. And so, like I said, these words that they're used by the powers that shouldn't be to sort of do divide and conquer. And that's why right wing populism's taken such a hold, is because yes, there's no one to run to, there's no one to go to. And what I see in the rhetoric of the right wing populists is a kind of sort of semi left wing viewpoints. Like they're actually talking about globalism, the problem of globalism, that the Antifa, the hard left, I'm like I said, I was really into this as a teenager. I used to go to these things called anarchist book fairs, and stuff. I was like I associated with, that's the far left. They used to talk about globalism. They used to talk about the New World Order, conspiracies, right, with the back of the United States currency with the pyramid and the all-seeing eye of Providence, eye of Horus, whatever. And the whole, all of that it was flirted with in those circles. They talked about it. And then now these days it's just the right wingers, the right wing populists, like a guy like Alex Jones that's actually talking about, oh yeah, this whole globalism thing, this whole idea of a cabal, where it's yes, all of these corporations that are in bed with it, especially that are private tyrannies, that they're not accountable to anybody. They it's like they talk about LeBron James, right? He's claimed Black Lives Matter, and then all of his merchandise is made in China, and it's made in these slave factories, right? Like Apple, same thing, made in these slave factories where people kill themselves, and people that try to resist because they're being paid like peanuts. If you resist the party line there or try to do something, the Communist Party will harvest your organs. you know, and they got death camps with, millions of people in death camps, the Muslims in the west of China, and all of the stuff going on that we allow, and we've sold off our industry in here in Canada, but also, yes, in the States, where over the years, yes, now you see everything's made in China, and they have all this economic power and control. And yes, they're an evil empire. They are evil, but as I may have said before, this is part of where I tend to lose people, is that how else would there's billions, over a billion people there. One city, I lived in it for a bit, Shanghai, has like 23 million people. How would you control something like that? So I don't think, like, I'm not trying to demonize a specific race. I'm not racist. It's not like I hate Chinese people. I've done business with them a lot. I've taught English with them and stuff. I don't think they're all evil and corrupt, but yeah, the system they got's evil. Just like how, yeah, the system in North America, yeah, it's been run by these neoliberals who are, yes, they're evil. The neoliberalism is just this fake liberalism. It's what I sort of talked about already in my Facebook video. So what I see in right-wing populism with the Trump people is certain threads of not, like I said, they hate commies. They use commies a lot and socialists. And like I said, I'm not getting fully in bed with them. I wouldn't be wearing a Make America Great Again hat. Like, yes, they do associate with the alt-right, and they associate with these people that, yes, no, they're evil. Don't associate with them. And I'm not an apartheid bigot. I'm not, in favor of, separate washrooms or whatever. But, I'm a bit high right now, so probably what I'm saying doesn't even make sense. I'm just sort of ranting and raving, but yeah, like I see my country like being balkanized. We have open borders, stuff like that. like the open borders thing, yes, maintaining this some sort of semblance of civilization and treating people decent. Like as I said, like why doesn't LeBron James have his stuff made in America where they could pay them, $7 an hour or $10 an hour, which is actually like something you can sort of semi survive on, even though not really, even though it's not, that's not even that ideal, but still, right? Like it's not total slavery in the States, it's sort of heading back to that, if we really look at things honestly. So, like I said, like I'm not rah, 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 rah Trump. I'm just sort of saying that in the right wing populism, I see a leftism, sort of certain left wing viewpoints, and even an admission of a lot of them that they made a lot of stupid decisions, right? Like Roger Stone. Like I said, I'm not getting in bed with Roger Stone. I'm not, I think he's a CIA operative, and he's also with Israel. Alex Jones and Roger Stone and those type of people are what they call a limited hangout. So there's certain issues they'll talk about and other stuff. No, they're not even allowed to talk about, like the really getting in depth with, like, say, the Pizzagate stuff. No, they're not allowed to talk about it. Not really getting in depth about anything that Israel's doing. Like when Alex Jones goes on and on and on about Jeffrey Epstein, they don't want to mention the connections to Mossad, the connections to Israeli intelligence. They distract people away from that stuff. So, like I said, I'm not 100% with Trump, and I'm not 100% with Alex Jones, and I'm not 100% with the alt-right or the right-wing populism. I'm just seeing threads in them where, like I said, the Antifa types, the anarchist types, the far left, the real far left in North America, it used to be talking about globalism, and they used to be talking about, these evil corporations like Monsanto, where they have these plants, they breed plants that produce seeds that you can't seed them again, so that they can monopolize the seeds. I mean, like, how fucking evil is that, right? So the Antifa types used to be talking about it. They're not talking about it anymore. They're getting lost on these other stuff that, are just a distraction. So I can't get in bed with them. I can't get in bed with the Democrats, the neoliberals. No, most definitely they're evil. So it's right. It's like in philosophy, people can reach the same conclusions for different reasons, right? So I might have talked about this before, but Ayn Rand and Karl Marx come out of the sort of they're different language families, but they're different branches of a language family, but they're in the same language family, right? So it's like the Romance languages, right? French, Portuguese, Spanish, Italian, right? There's a sense that they're in the language family, the Romance languages. Sure, they're separate languages, but they got a lot in common. They have a common origin and a common history. They can trace their roots to the same, like a tree, like the node. Even though they went in different directions with it, they have like I said, a common origin at that node, right? So it's like that, right? So Ayn Rand and Karl Marx will occasionally agree about stuff, even though they totally hate each other. Even though Ayn Rand completely hated Karl Marx and communism, she despised it. She thought, it was the worst form of collectivism ever. Karl Marx emphasized the team and the collective. Yes, it's true. And then Ayn Rand emphasized the individual a lot more. So, but anyways, that's not the focus of this video, but I'm just sort of saying that you can have occasional overlap. Like there's things that the right-wing populists are saying that, yes, I just happen to agree with, but I can't get completely in bed with them. So like I'm not associating with them at all. I'm not really, the realization is that, yes, we're sort of out for ourselves, and I got to take care of myself. And, none of these political groups are going to fucking take care of me. They're not giving me a pension. They're not taking care of me. So why would I support them? I wouldn't donate money. I wouldn't wear their hats. I'm not into wearing hats. I'm not into, I'm a free thinker. I'm a critical thinker. Like I can cherry pick elements of stuff and say, yeah, that makes sense and that makes sense, but I don't have to agree with everything. But yeah, there's stuff I'm picking on up a lot more with the Trump people, that there's leftism to it that resonates with me. And it's unfortunate that there doesn't seem to be many other groups to get in bed with, even. Like, there's no one to turn to. There's nowhere to go. Like, as I've said before, many of the trade unions have been completely decimated, and they were ineffectual. And yes, some of them were corrupt and in bed with the mafia. And there isn't the labor movement anymore. And there's no There's no honor amongst thieves, and there's no solidarity. And uh, yeah, the modern left, as I've talked about, where they're so hyper focused on what people are doing with their private parts and what gender people are, totally off the rails, totally not even addressing the subject that I want to address, right? Which is a lot of this economic stuff, right? Like, fair wages for people, benefits, democratic workplaces, participatory workplaces, having the suggestion box be listened to, having people have a conversation and stuff. No, all of that's gone. You can't, we're not going back to that. And that was built by people that had endured the depression and were tough and weren't going to take it anymore. And we're not tough. We're decadent. We're weak. We're out of control. There's been a trend in the media, even to say the last 30 years, of all the shows. Don't you notice that they're like Homer Simpson and Family Guy, where the guy's like he's a nerd like me, and I'm a nerd, but fat and decadent and out of control and loopy on some kind of drugs and corrupt. And if the characters aren't like passive aggressive, snarky, resentful, fucking bullies and babies in these shows like Family Guy and stuff, like if they're not outright corrupt and evil, then yeah, they're decadent, they're weak. There's no more virtuous like characters, leader characters, alpha males. Like, yeah, I've talked about, I watched those movies, Escape from New York and stuff, with the character Snake Plissken. Even in that character, even though he's kind of a villainous character, he's an anti-hero. At least he's an alpha male. Like, at least he's aggressive, assertive, stuff like that. There's been this decline of, we don't even get characters like that anymore. We just get these fucking, out of control, decadent, weak, crybaby characters and stuff. That we're not tough. We're not taking the reins. And the Trump rhetoric is, he's tough and he's issuing all these executive orders and he's getting stuff done. But then that's a problem for democracy, because yes, everything has to become an executive order. There's no discussion, there's no dialogue, there's no building consensus. We're becoming tribal and the extremes, and people are getting violent, and I just see it's just all a big fucking mess. Like, we can't have a civilized conversation. No one wants to hear the voice of reason. Everybody's so emotional and so fucking sensitive. Like I said, all of this language, we get lost in these terms when we have common enemies and certain issues got to be talked about in the world and stuff, and no one wants to fucking talk about it in any kind of serious way. It's either you got to love Trump or hate Trump, or you got to love Biden or hate Biden. It's Coke versus Pepsi. It's not even really a choice. And then, okay, I've said a lot of stuff pro-Trump, and then there's some stuff like against Trump, right? Like, shady real estate developer. He said creepy stuff about his own daughter, into fucking supermodels and prostitutes and stuff, and photos with Ghislaine Maxwell where she's wearing the spiral, and he was probably involved at some low level, but maybe he's seeking redemption. I mean, I don't know, but even those people, they don't want to look into it. No one's going into that rabbit hole. Do I think he's necessarily a monstrous pedophile or something? No, but all the rich people, all the pillars have rotten cores, I guess is my point. But then I can find redeeming features in certain, viewpoints, like I said, cherry pick. So, yeah, I'm not pro-Trump, and he's a mediocre businessman, but he is a funny guy. Like, I'd like to have dinner with him, but I don't think he should be the president. Like, I would, for a laugh, ha, you're fired, ha ha ha, yeah, very funny. Like, he has a certain charisma. It's a negative charisma, but he's, like, for a laugh. But yeah, he's a diva, he's an egomaniac. But then this day and age, who wants the fucking job? Who wants the fucking job? Like, say what you want about Obama, and that's a whole subject I could get into too. Maybe I will, but you look at before and after photos of him. Like, before he was the president, Obama looks young, okay, even though he's old, 50s, I think, or whatever. And then by the end of his 8 years, like an after photo, he looks like such an old man, like the weariness in his face and the wrinkles and everything. That's who wants the job? And then you got these, like, backstabbers and double backstabbers and triple backstabbers and guys like John Bolton neoconservative, warmonger, war hawk, war profiteer, in bed with the Bush crime family, in bed with the Clinton crime family, you know, uh, like, yeah, that stuff the right wingers talk about. Yeah, the Bush crime family and the Clinton crime family, and how they were wrong, and how, yes, we've elected all of these fucking people that are a bunch of traitors and weasels and rats, and they've been demolishing all of our institutions, and everything they say is a lie, and it's all double speak. And Obama declares a war in Libya, and does all this shit, and people are voting for hope and change, as Hope Noam Chomsky said, right? They're voting for hope and change, and they're not getting anything, and it's not changing. And that's why, again, this deep state conspiracy, which I don't 100% buy into, but it's, yeah, you can't even have a conversation. There's no one to run to. You can't have a conversation. So yes, it's bad. And then it's escalating, and then all of these other countries that, the United States, yes, is an evil empire, but then if they don't have their bases and they don't have their stuff and this army and all these wars all over the place, if they weren't in Afghanistan, there's all these other evil empires looking to come and take a piece of our ass, Russia and China. And yeah, these are not kumbaya circles either, these places. Like the United States, yes, evil empire, but then all these other empires are like 100 times more evil. They're like, yeah, the singularity evil. Like, they're like, if they wind up ruling the world, yeah, it's not going to be a very fun place. It's going to be some kind of dystopia or something, whoever would come out on top. But I don't know, it's bad. Like, politically, yeah, it's very bad. And then Chomsky's talked about, yes, there's this very real possibility of nuclear war, very real, that's politically not being dealt with. But people are getting angry. People are fed up. It's, we got all these, criminal, complete corrupt psychopaths running the world, right? The Jeffrey Epstein types and the others. And, like I said, all the pillars have rotten cores. So that's very cynical, but it's unfortunate. It's too bad. But thing is, it's about finding solutions, and I just don't know what the solutions are. Like, everything is so compromised at so many levels. It's like, yeah, like, I don't want to get in with Trump, but then, oh, these other people, oh, I don't want to get in bed with them either. So it's not that I agree with him, it's that there's commonalities, there's, like I said, things that I'm cherry picking. But it's hard. It's hard being a free thinker when you're an independent thinker, because, yeah, I don't want to write a letter of recommendation to anybody. Say I'm the professor, right? And then the parents are asking me, oh, well, or I'm a teacher, not a professor, I'm a teacher at high school, and all the parents are asking me, oh, give me a recommendation letter for my kid for university. And all the kids, like I said, one kid is the USA, and one kid is China, and one kid is Russia, and one kid is the Satanists, and one kid is the Vatican, and one kid is the big tech, and they're all my students, and I'm supposed to write them a letter of recommendation. Well, no, I'm not writing them a letter of recommendation to anybody. I can't get in bed with anything, it seems. And even the antinatalism stuff that I agreed with, as I've said many, many times, the people that I've dealt with antinatalism, yeah, you're a bunch of stupid assholes and selfish and shitty too. Like, we all are, So, yeah, and a schism, and no agreeing about the fundamentals, and getting lost in minutia, and all this infighting and stupid bullshit. That's like, yeah, why support? Why do anything? Why not just be a nihilist piece of shit and just not care about anybody? Because it's yeah, I guess it's the easy way out, but it's hard, yeah, because that's hard. Who do you side with? And when the rubber hits the road, I mean, there's real violence, right? I watched what was going on in Kenosha. And it was like watching a video out of Libya or Egypt. And we think we're immune from this kind of stuff. And no, it's coming here, coming to a town near you, the most of the alt media talking about, yeah, really serious food shortages that are going to hit and stuff. I can't sell my gold to the bank. Like, my bank has been buying and selling gold and silver and precious metals for like 200 years. And it's been since May that they don't do it anymore. That's unprecedented. All this shit's going on. It's scary, but it's like, well, do I want to get in bed with Trump? No, not really. He's compromised, but then, yeah, the other people that he's up against are all just, yeah, they're fucking pure evil. You know, that's, you know, but, but then, like I said, Trump is, yes, he's the little fascist dictator. He's a fascist dictator with his executive orders, and like I said, there's no dialogue and there's no conversation. And but the people are fed up. People want to see a guy taking it from the reins, trying to control things, because I've talked about this before, probably in my one video about the whole beta male problem. That yeah, there aren't any more as many alpha males that are authentic alphas with a vision and a mission, and productive and assertive, and their children respect them and that kind of thing. We're just making all these decadent, Family Guy, beta male characters, and our civilizations, with romance, the divorce rates, 70%, and the nuclear families collapsed. Like, at least in the depression of the 30s, people were already pretty poor. It was only a minority of people that were rich and had cars and radios and electric lights. They existed, but most people didn't have them. Most people were farmers in the States, and people had skills, and people knew how to sew things and grow their own food. And there was stuff that they could do, that it wasn't a total mess, even though they did have to do all of this restructuring to save everybody because it just got so bad. But yeah, we don't have the same values. We don't stick together. We don't know our neighbors. We don't have any community. But then it's because of the way I am with this autism. I don't really connect with people. So yeah, I don't connect with people. So yeah, it's yeah, who do you side with? Who do you go with? And so yeah, I can't be for Trump, but then, like I said, the people he's up against, the threads that I'm picking up on, there's as I stick to these principles, I've said it before, there's kernels of corn in the shit that are true, and a broken clock is right twice a day, and I stick to those sort of principles, and that's why I think the way I think. But again, at the end of the day, yes, I guess I was always an idealist, and I thought, we could sit down and solve problems, but it doesn't seem we can. Um, doesn't seem to be that the good side is winning very much, and that's why I'm anti-natalist, for the most part, just because, yeah, it doesn't seem that people even want to fix it. We're just history just keeps repeating itself, it seems, and we never learn and we don't change, and yeah, we're all uh, selfish in a non-rational, non-egotistical, well, like selfish in this way of, yeah, just you don't we don't care. It's sad. It's bad. So yeah, depressing video, but like I said, it's about finding solutions, and I just can't find any, and just I don't know. And it's sort of like you feel like washing your hands of it, doing the whole Pontius Pilate thing. But no, you got to strive. You got to strive to do better, and people can be better, and people can change, and that's sort of why I do believe most people want to be moral, do the right thing, but it's hard. It's tough. We're not monsters, right? We're not pedophiles. We're not cannibals. We're not, we don't want to be these things, and the world, it distorts all of it. It's all distorted. That's a minority of the human race, and it's just because there's so many people, it's ballooned out of control of just all of these decadent, hedonistic, vile people. Lots of them, but they're 2% of the human condition. And it would just be, if we could take care of the top 10% and the bottom 10%, the super rich and all of these poor people, they're reckless and irresponsible, and just get them to start paying their bills, things would dramatically improve. If everybody, paid their bills, and they did their work and were productive, but as long as we were allowed to participate and contribute, and I think if people got laid more, we'd be happier. And we just don't do a lot of things in any kind of a rational, fair way. I even saw this ad for an app. I know, again, I'm going off on all these different subjects, but it's like, I think it was called Patient Tracker or Parent Tracker or something like that. And this woman in the ad, and it's an app basically that you can spy on your boyfriend or your girlfriend, their cell phone, find out who they've been calling, who they've been talking to. And this is a legal app. You can download this to spy on people. I saw it and it was a YouTube ad. I'd have to search the actual name. I forget what it was exactly called. But yeah, like creepy, 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 creepy. And, they can tell that this woman's obviously been hurt by men, legitimately so, hurt. But then to overcompensate for that, it's like to get revenge. She's got to get revenge on every other man and, yeah, spy. What gives you the right to do that? Spy on your partner. I mean it. The divorce rate says 70%. Why can't we just be real? Yeah, humans are not monogamous. And then that causes us a lot of psychological problems. Like we can't just have sex in a detached way, not having to worry about kids or disease. When I think if we could just, have sex all the time, not like every day, but, have sex like once a week or once a month. If everybody could do this, the world would be a way happier, nicer place, if it wasn't like all these poor people and then these super rich people that just waste preposterous amounts of resources and don't solve problems, and we subsidize it and take care of it. And we got to return to fundamentals, to what the British call first principles. Like, it's about solving problems, it's about being productive, not getting lost in pigeonholing or labels, and being rational and taking responsibility and instilling in people some sort of notion of self-reliance, but also that you have a voice and you should be able to participate and your opinion should be considered and we should respect each other and that kind of a thing, and go in there with some sort of Marcus of Queensbury rules and recognize, okay, yeah, we're all selfish and we want stuff and we want good things and we want, you know, and work together and all of that. And yeah, just all these people got to get, because they're not finding solutions. And then they expect somebody else to find the solution. As I said, they expect Jesus to do it, or they expect Bernie Sanders to do it, or they want someone else to fix their fucking problems. When no, you got to start solving your own fucking problems. People like across the board, even myself, yes, like, you got to have some accountability. I can't say to people, pull up your bootstraps, because I got lucky. I got provided for. So like I can't be that much that way, but yeah, a little bit more, like I worked a job selling insurance, and every time I'd have to ask them, how much money do you make every month? And people didn't know. They didn't know how much fucking money they make every month. So we're weak, No one forces us to go max out a credit card, and no one forces us to vote for all these wars and vote for all this stupid stuff that, yes, it's easy. We want to blame the Illuminati for doing all of it. Or Trump. Or whoever. And we don't want to take responsibility. Yes, we're the ones voting for it and participating in it and doing it. It's us. It's we the people, right? But we the people suck, right? The people that vote for Trump, yes, they suck in many ways. But then the people that vote for the neoliberals, yeah, they suck. And we vote for all this stuff and we acquiesce and we participate. And my